Good morning, everyone. Let's play some zombies. I just got Black Ops 4, and it's time to find out. It's time to find out what this is all about. So, I played some Black Ops 2, I skipped 3. Black Ops, the OG version is by far my favorite game. My favorite console game, anyway. It's good, friends. It is good. So let's see what this is about. I'm going to talk about Overlord. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet, but it is currently in theaters. I saw it on Thursday night, a very late show, in IMAX, and you should totally go check it out. It's from Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams' company, which means everything is top-notch, spared no expense. The effects are incredible. The director, I'm trying to think if I've seen some of his other work. I want to say yes. His name is Julius Avery. What else have I seen from Julius Avery? I think I saw Son of a Gun. That was pretty solid. He's a pretty fresh director, though. He's a pretty new director, and he really does a great job here with what he's got to work with. I have some nits to pick about Overlord, but the direction is not one of them. He is a very fine director, and really gives a sense of scope and intensity, even to scenes of people standing around in a room. It's really just a great job on his part, and I look forward to what he does next. This movie has a lot of effects work. I'm not sure what the budget is. It says 38 million, which is, don't get me wrong, that's a big budget movie. I mean, but it is for the effects that are in this film. It is a movie that is, I would say, conservatively budgeted for what they're going for. There's a lot of practical effects. There's a lot of CG, especially in the beginning. The movie opens like Saving Private Ryan, but instead of charging the beach, you're charging the air, which is pretty incredible. Let's shake things up a little bit. Let's go to. I'm gonna play some. I'm gonna play some gun game, which I'm not good at, by the way. I'm really not good at. Yeah. So, Overlord kind of reminds me. It kind of occupies a similar space as 10 Cloverfield Lane. I don't know if you saw that. Great little film. I want to say that cost $10 or $15 million. So it was a a film that was made on a budget, but it was also very well directed and gave this incredible sense of immersion and scope and terror. It was a very scary film, even though it all basically took place in one room. And you know, it's that was a great film. That was also J.J. Abrams. It's a Bad Robot movie. Abrams didn't direct it, but he produces these movies that are, you know, low to mid-budget studio movies, essentially, and he really does a great job. I mean, boom, got my first kill there. You know, with the gun game, it's like if I can get away from that first pistol, I usually do okay. I end up in the middle, but oops, I'm so bad at this. Boom, 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 boom. Oh,
Fresh kill.
Got the shotgun. It's always a race to get to an automatic weapon. Once I get to an automatic weapon, but yeah, J.J. Abrams does these TV series that are like, you know, sort of low to mid budget. You know, when he directs, he's making, you know, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which is, you know, $250 million. But these lower budget movies really have a polish and a level of quality that you usually don't see from a movie that costs, you know, 10, 15 million, or, you know, in the case of Overlord, $38 million. So anyway, I know numbers kind of bore people, but that is the industry I work in. So, you know, this movie, I thought it had some great trailers. I thought that it was interesting how they do this head fake in the trailers of it being sort of a, you know, it was almost like Saving Private Ryan with a tinge of, I don't want to say Top Gun. I think Saving Private Ryan is probably the best example. So they had this incredible sequence in the beginning of the movie where you meet all of, you know, this group of people that we're going to be spending most of the movie with. And they're in this plane, and they, I'll just say, make a landing. And it is intense. It is intense. Like, it is absolutely a terrifying experience. And it was awesome in IMAX. It was really great. So they land, and, you know, the plot of the movie is they are essentially on this mission to go take down a tower. Like, there's this tower that, you know, presumably has radios or something in it, and they're doing this in advance of a land assault, a land invasion at D-Day. So the D-Day invasion at the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, that's ostensibly happening in the background, and these guys are paratroopers parachuting in to take down a tower, like a comms tower or something. And so they go in, and man, it's pretty terrifying. I mean, I would say the first third of my movie, the first third of Overlord is probably my favorite part of the film, because they just pull so much suspense out of this approach, and it's high stakes. Like, people die, people don't make it through the you know, through the initial landing and sort of search through the woods, but no fun. Some people don't make it, but let's see if I can. Man, I'm horrible at this. Let's see, where are we going? tried to hit him in the face, did not work. Yeah, so Overlord, you know, they're trying to make their way to this tower. They have this end goal there that they're trying to get to, and yeah, there's a lot of tension on the way. There's you know, some of the characters are really well developed, and some of them I thought were kind of boilerplate. I don't want to specify too much for those who haven't seen it, but there's one veteran in the group that I thought does an incredible job, and I was like, man, this guy is just a good actor, and I knew I'd seen him in some things before, but I couldn't place him because he's got long hair and he just looks so scruffy and dirty, and then I realized it was Wyatt Russell, who is actually Kurt Russell's son, I believe, and he looks very Kurt Russell-y and is playing a very Kurt Russell character. Boom, got that guy. He's playing a very, like, Kurt Russell, you know, alpha male, grizzled veteran sort of leading man here. Kind of
superior my ass.
You know, was intentional on the part of the casting directors. So, let's see if I can fix my mic here.
Hostile backed.
I'm not used to... I'm going to have to get a better microphone. I'm not used to these garbage PlayStation microphones. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, so Wyatt Russell plays this, like, veteran soldier who's kind of leading these other newbies through the...
Sheriff, gun.
Boom. He's sort of leading these other newbies through, you know, through France. Like, they land in France, which is, of course, where D-Day happened. Much intrigue, much misdirection on the part of the Allies. So, they land there, and there is some creepy stuff happening. They telegraph that this is a horror film very, very early on. They really, boom, smoked it. They really telegraphed that some terrible crap is going to happen. Oops, I should have killed that guy. And there's like, you know, they go into this house and there's this like creepy, there's like an old lady who's like sick, and you end up seeing her, and it is just like, what the hell is happening here? Horrible crap is happening. And all that stuff is great. There's a really solid villain, and I don't want to tell you who it is, but I thought he gave a great performance, and there's some great sort of makeup effects work that looks like a combo of mostly CG, but some practical effects in there too. And there's one big CG design thing that happens with him at a certain part in the movie that just looks disgusting, but effectively so. And yeah, I mean, it's, you know, my only critique of the film is if you've seen even one of the early trailers, I want to say in the first trailer, they sort of telegraph what is happening and why they're telling this story, and it never really went beyond that in my estimation. It never really it completely explores what kill that guy? Nope. It completely explores the core concept that's like teased in the trailers, but I was kind of hoping it would go further than that, and maybe that's just my my love of you know, Nazi cult fiction that goes back to it goes back to Wolfenstein, the original Wolfenstein. And you know, I think that's. I don't think that's specific to me. I mean, there's been so much sort of Nazi fiction. You know, there's such an easy bad guy, and there's been so much made of certain aspects of the actual Nazis, including Hitler's interest in the occult and things like that. And none of that is really explored in this movie, but I think that it is an audience expectation that it will be explored. Ooh, level up. I think people sort of expect that we are going to go a little further than this movie goes. But what is there is super disgusting, and they have some. I mean, they have some some scares in this movie that I'm going to remember for a long time. They are very well executed and horrifying. I mean, make no mistake, like Overlord is a horror film. Get a little coffee here, friends. It is a horror film. Like it does not tread lightly. Like it is a brutal film that is not appropriate for anyone who does not like horror films. It is an in-your-face terror fest that is reminiscent of, you know, I'm trying to think in terms of the intensity. I would put it along the lines of Event Horizon, where it's R-rated and they really go all out with the gore. There's really a lot of gore in this movie, so if you're not up for that, might not be the movie for you. That said, I really like the film. I don't think I'm going to go see it again. I'm a big repeat movie watcher. I like to see movies, you know, a couple of times in the theater. And
Gun game.
This one, I don't think so. I think once was enough. It's not enough, like, intellectually to bring me back to it. I feel like I've seen and thought about everything in this movie before, prior to seeing it. So it's really an effective, very well made. I want to underscore how well made it is and how effectively constructed some of the terror is. But, you know, the only gentle criticism I have is I kind of feel like all the ground has been well trodden before, both in film and in video games. I think I think the target audience for this movie is a male audience, a young male audience, and you know, young men have been playing games about Nazi fiction for a long time, so they don't really go beyond what I've been thinking about for 25 years. Yes, I'm old, by the way. It really doesn't come close to, you know, even the depth of something. Even a game like the original Wolfenstein, which I mentioned earlier. Like, I'm talking about the before Doom, like 1991, 1992, has the narrative, maybe not the narrative depth. Like, obviously the characters in that game aren't as fleshed out in this, but in terms of the scope of what's happening, the psychological terror of what the Nazis are doing, I really think that, oops, let me see. Yes, finally. Oh, man. It's so hard to just get out of those first few weapons, and you know, I've always been best with assault rifles in these games, and I never use the shotgun, and I never use the pistol. So to have to start with that every time I play,
Hostile infantry wasted.
Is pretty rough. It's hard for me to get out of there, but once I get an assault rifle, I'm doing okay. So go see Overlord. It's got a really great Rotten Tomatoes score, so I'm not the only one who liked it. I think it's like mid-80s, like 85, 86% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Drop.
Oops. I thought that guy passed me already. Who shot him? Ah, son of a gun. I don't really like this map because you're just out in the open the whole time. There's no surprises. You see people so far away.
Boomer down.
You know, like that guy had no chance against me. Like just still where he can hide. You know, usually you see people coming, and you know the ground is white, so nobody blends in. At least I don't blend in. One thing I learned about this map is if you get in the water, you just can't do that. He's killing me. Ugh. See, you just have no chance. It's so wide open. Let's see if anybody's grabbed me. I'm going to be playing through the last of this. And I've yet to decide if I'm going to talk about horror on that.
Sheriff is down.
This guy kills me. Okay, good. Let's see who else I got up here. See, I'm not doing too bad once I get that. Once I get that that automatic weapon, I'm doing pretty well. Pretty well. Somehow don't kill that guy. I don't kill that guy.
Hostile down.
Let's see who I can steal out of here. That probably saw me. It's just so easy to see people in here. Let's see who killed me. Oh yeah, no chance against that. Yep, I have yet to win gun game. I'm not good at this game. I am not good at this game. What else do I like about Overlord? Maybe you should see, by the way. Honestly, I think the release date was pretty genius. Pretty genius. So, anyway, I think I'm gonna bail for a little while. My cup of coffee is finished. So, if you have some time this weekend, I say go see Overlord. The better horror films do in the first weekend, the more you're going to see of them in theaters. So try and go see it this weekend. It's definitely worth seeing. And I'll talk to you cats later. Bye.